Wow, it is awesome to be here. I'm so glad that you guys came. A science teacher can't unwind a microphone cord? Hey, thanks for letting an old guy up here. You ask how old?
How old?
I don't think you said anything. You want me to do this comedy stuff by myself? How old?
How old?
76! Woo! Hey, thanks a lot for your support. Anybody in here over 76? Well, all right. Hey, I got a little applause. In comedy, we call that a sympathy applause. Yeah, I'm so old I was born in MCMXLI. You need to know that's Roman numerals. I always have to explain it to people from South Bueller. When I was a kid, that's all we had. Not South Bueller, the Roman numerals. And every time I dial a number, I get Roman charges. Back then we had a whole different meaning for XXX. It looks like some of you need to watch a little less porn. Or in your case, ma'am, a little more. Sesame Street. Yeah, I just... Time for Sesame Street. I just hope I don't fall asleep, which is unlikely with you guys. You're so awesome, I want you to come and spice up my funeral. Too late. It was Thursday. If I'm lucky, I'll remember what I want to say tonight. And if you're lucky, I'll wander off somewhere. Silver alert! Silver alert! I just hope I don't wander off to Chicago. Did you see there the latest news? Shootings there are up 88% over last year. Murders are up too, but only 72%. Looks like to me they need to take more gun classes. Improve their aim. But the new murder capital of the U.S. is St. Louis. And I actually, on my last comedy tour, did comedy in St. Louis. I felt lucky I didn't even collect any bullet holes. I make up for my, oh yes, I got these fancy shoes. These are the fanciest shoes I've ever had. They're Nike Airs, and the whole shoe sole is an air chamber. The best shoes I ever bought, and the most expensive. $18 at Goodwill. Hey, don't knock it. These pants are from Goodwill too. And, well, other stuff we won't talk about. But I was trimming my natal plums out in front of my house. I really do have a house. It's in Phoenix. And that's a code word for big thorns. Fortunately, I didn't get stuck. But my shoes weren't so lucky. And my right shoe, I evidently stepped on a thorn and it deflated the air chamber. So I was walking like this. So what do you do in a case like that? Well, you take an ice pick and puncture the other one. Now I squish when I walk. You hear me later, I really do. Well, I make up for my waning physical prowess with my superior senior stupidity. Senior and stupid, doesn't that remind you of Congress? Yeah, and that's no joke. Well, in my case, I picked my electric toothbrush up from where I dropped it and brushed my teeth. Hey, I was just standing there. I hadn't done anything yet. It's waterproof. I rinsed it off, and every week I cleaned the toilet. No, not with my toothbrush. Well, we lost my older brother in March. actually here in Hutchinson. Never did find him. You can laugh, that's all right. We looked all over Reno County, and Stanley was, well, I'm not saying he was stupid, but he felt hook, line, and sinker for a guy named Whittaker. And Stanley took about 30 supplements, pills, and stuff every day. When he went to the ICU, I'm sure he was the healthiest guy there. And now, he's the guy with the best prostate of anybody in the Greenwood Cemetery. Well, I don't know how this is related. Nope, got that feedback. It's called liquid courage. Stanley was a real estate mogul. Well, in his own mind, he had one duplex. And the east half, right here in town, the east half was standing just because it was leaning against the west half. And Stanley moved in Billy. Anybody here have any rental properties? Let's hear it by applause. Anybody? Mm-hmm. Anybody here live in a rental house? Yeah, all right. Well, Stanley let Billy move in rent-free in exchange for fixing up the place. Well, you know how that went. Billy moved in with a carload of cockroaches. That's not funny. It's not true either. It was worse. He moved in with Dawn, his girlfriend. And at least I think that was what was under all those tattoos. They were so wrinkled it was hard to tell. No wonder she was a chain smoker. Let's hear it by applause if you've ever smoked any chains. Well, she did have a winning smile, if you count 3 teeth. But they were excellent for holding her cigarettes. She could puff her way right through a Kansas forecast of rain or a Kansas tornado. Now, she had a big screen television in her living room, blaring all the time. Her pride and joy was not the TV, but the long extension cord she had to plug into the neighbors with. And she was so trashy, she had a bed sheet on her fancy curved shower rod, which was attached to the outside of the house. Let's see, we ought to turn this down just a little bit. Probably that. See if that helps. Which was attached to the outside of the house because nothing worked inside, especially Dawn. And it was out there so her daughter, oh yes, she moved her in too, could clean up with a garden hose. I learned a lot about white trash. Yeah, like I had room to talk. I start my minivan with a red wire hanging out from under the hood. Oh, yes, I drive in a minivan. Don't believe everything you hear about the old guy in a minivan. Because that's me. And I don't have candy. And I haven't lost a puppy because I don't have one. Or barking, chewing, or pooping, or petting. Obviously, you people are not that kind of puppy. You guys have never pet your puppy, obviously. Oh, sometimes us seniors get lost and forget stuff. In fact, I got lost driving here with a GPS. You ask, what's that?
What's that?
See, he's a good learner. I like you. I forgot. Well, for some people, it's God provides stuff. If you're from Los Angeles, it's no. If you're what's north of Los Angeles? San Francisco is probably gay and perfectly satisfied. Or in my case, geese are plain and stupid. Stupid like thinking no guy can stand up here and be funny. But you know, every generation has had people that are stupid. And some people become famous for it. And when I was a kid, we didn't have the Kardashians. We had the crazy mountain man. Hey, I climbed this mountain during a thunderstorm and talked to God and brought down these 2 rocks. And you people were so disgusting, I smashed them. And they were important. I don't know how they could have been important. They didn't say anything about Supreme Court nominees. But anybody know who that was?
Moses.
Moses. Who said Moses? Good, you must have gone to Sunday school. How come you're not somewhere getting home, getting ready to go to church tomorrow and pray for us sinners? Well, he wandered around the desert for 40 years. He didn't pay attention to my instructions. And can you imagine how lost he was? And the worst part of it is, he had a whole bunch of people following him around. I think after about a couple months, I would have said, hey, forget you, Moses. I'm going to settle down somewhere. But no, they followed him the whole way. He wasn't as bad as the guy that got lost 4 times on the wrong continent. Anybody know who that was? Well, they sent him off, they paid for his trip, said, hey, go there. And he says, oh, I'm going to go a certain place and I'm going to find stuff. And he went there. He didn't go where he thought he went. He was lost. He came back and said, hey, I went there. They said, hey, that's good. Do it again. And he did it 3 more times. That was our Columbus. That's why we call our people, Native Americans, Indians. And he never could hold a heading. And he had trouble with his OnStar. Holding things is kind of a different thing. When I was a kid, my mom would say, Louis, hold your horses. I never did understand how you could hold something so heavy. And then, in the 70s, it was cool your jets. I don't know why they got hot. And what do you say nowadays if you want someone to not get in a rush? You don't say anything? Oh, maybe take a chill pill? Or maybe don't have a rack attack. 2 people got that. Well, let me interpret for the rest of you. Calm your tits. Or if you go to Hawaii, it's Hakuna your tatas. Somewhere between the horses and the jets, it was hold the phone. Now, I need to explain for you younger people that that's singular because there was only one and it was fastened to the house with a wire. And nowadays it means, of course, something completely different. It means, here, watch my video. Oh, don't hold it like this. You might set it into telephone Neverland. Oh, don't hold it by the edge. You might explode. So you have to balance it on the palm of your hand and hope you don't drop it. How many have dropped their phone and broken the screen? Yeah, been watching too much porn. But there's other things you hold. It's going to take her 5 minutes to recover from that one. There's other things you hold. Anybody here a grandparent? Let's hear by applause. No grandparents. Well, all right, and there's the grandchild. Welcome to the show. This is the way I held my first grandchild. All it took was 10 seconds for me to understand crazy grandparents. But there's other ways to hold grandkids. This one leaks. Or, here, mommy, stinky baby. Or, when they get a little older, you can hold them like this. I hate ceiling fans. Last week I lost 2. And I don't know how this is related, but I've got t-shirts. Well, I'm holding it, I guess. These are, profits go to a charity that helps senior citizens. They're $10, cash or card. And it's a charity that helps senior citizens. No, it's not me. But you get one, and 5 years from now, depending on how my comedy career goes, you might have something worth $12. Or you might have something good for Stanky Baby. Well, some things I just don't understand. I don't understand why they make the backs of televisions and things all black. Plugging your equipment in is like plugging your hard pin into a black hole. When you get the wrong hole, you say, oh, I meant to do it that way. Some people aim for the wrong hole because they like it. Especially from San Francisco. And I don't understand why Sony makes such crummy keyboards on their laptops. I went to the Dominican Republic, and on my website, which is arizonalou.com, I said I went to the Dominican Republic. It left out an L, and it actually called it the Dominican Republic. Now, there went my reputation. Like I had one after that Stinky Baby thing. And I sent my daughter an email, excitedly telling her, I just got booked for 3 minutes at Harrah's showroom. Sorry about Harrah's, Dad. I read the email, the computer left out a K. I actually wrote, I just got booed for 3 minutes. Well, I have a Kindle, and I don't understand. I got a book for the Kindle. It was called the hardcover edition. And I don't understand why, how can it be that when there is no cover? And how can it be hard when the book is software? Nothing about this body gets hard. Ever. Well, except one thing in the morning, getting out of bed. Actually, that's not true. I don't get out. I roll out of bed and sort of onto the floor. It's kind of a disgusting type thing. I don't understand why they have been making bread 3,000 years and still haven't figured out how to make it without bubbles in the middle of the loaf. So when they slice the bread, you get some slices with holes in them, so you get a peanut butter and jelly mess wedge. And there's some other things I don't understand, but I'll get to those later in the show, maybe when we don't have kids here. But that's okay. And the other thing, I plan to live a long time. I plan to go for, well, on my 100th birthday, hey, thanks for coming, folks. On my 100th birthday, I want to still be in the game. Although by then, I'm sure I won't know what game or what the score is. But you can bet I'll still be on the bottom with the Cleveland Browns. Although they won over the Jets. Can you imagine how you would feel if you were the Jets, losing to the team that lost more than about any other team in the history of sports? Well, that's the way it goes. But in my, I want to be here with you guys, bringing in the new year 2042. That'll be after I'm 100. And all it'll take is about 93 million heartbeats for me, 1 billion heartbeats for you guys if you, our kid's gone, so if you even forget to pull out. And there's something else I was going to tell you that I can tell now, is when you're inventing things, scientists have figured out how to make bars of soap look bigger than they really are. Now, why don't they make that to something useful, like condoms? That wouldn't do me any good. Although maybe jockey shorts? Oh, I'm holding something. It's about 6 inches long. It's hard. It's red on the tip. It's what's inside of it gives it its functionality. Boy, you guys are quiet. I'm going to have to remember this joke next time I do a comedy show at Kingdom Hall. They don't laugh at anything. They don't believe in laughing. In fact, next time the Jehovah's Witnesses come to my house, and I'm sure I'm not offending anybody because they don't come to places like this, I'm going to give them my sympathy and then give them this. Stapled shut, ask them to read it when they are by themselves. Because you know how they go by twos? So that nobody will become a Jehovah's snitch. They gotta toe the line. This says, I call it the blotch tower. Dear friend, you have my sympathy. I hope you will consider escaping the bonds of this oppressive and controlling organization that takes most of the joy out of human existence in the name of guilt and God. Please search the internet for how to leave JW or go to, and I have a website. I guarantee, oh, and I gave this to some people. They actually came to my door the day after I wrote it. And I think that one of two things is going to happen. They are going to decide that they're going to double their efforts and make sure they come to my house to get me on the straight and narrow, or they're going to say, that house is poison, don't go there. So I might solve the problem. If you're interested, I've got copies for you, if you just ask me. But, oh yes, this thing that's in my pocket, this thing that's in my pants, it's, I can spin it around. In fact, I can blow it. I might let some of you blow it. It's, I'm so talented I can hold it and blow it at the same time. No, it's not dirty. I washed it today. Lots. Let's hear it by applause if you want me to pull it out of my pants right now. Nobody. All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it by applause if you don't want to see it. No. 2 people applaud. Where's the rest of your commitment? All right, hide your eyes on 3 if you don't want to see it. 1, 2, 3. You applaud if you didn't want to see it. You didn't hide your eyes. Are you confused?
Very.
This, I have to get a hold of it here. This is an anemometer. The spinning magnets inside register the wind speed on your cell phone. It's good for sailing, cell phones.
Thank you.
It's good for comedy. Anyway, that's what that is. I try to be healthy and go to the gym. In fact, I went to the gym. I try to eat right. I got a hold of some string beans that were so stringy by the time I finished eating, but I already flossed my teeth. And have you seen these guys that, I don't take supplements like creatine. Have you seen the guys with great big bulging muscles? They have little tiny thumbs. Or, since the kid's not here, dicks. At least that's what I hear. Well, I've got little tiny muscles and a great big microphone. When I went to Walmart, I don't park close to the door, so I can stir like tired blood as I run in for a few things. After I made my selection, I was going back to my van, and the kid said, "Hey, Grandpa, how come you running so fast?" "Well, you would be too, son, if you've been shoplifting." String beans. Well, I did stop by a gym, and I recognized the equipment there because all they did is they added foam pads and logos to machines from when I was a kid during the Spanish Inquisition. Now, I see, one person realized that was 650 years ago. Thank you. Well, the inquisitors put the bodies in impossible positions. Well, when I was a kid, we called it Inquisition. Nowadays, you call it torture or yoga. I was, when I was a kid, have you ever noticed in pictures back then that the naked subjects on the rack always had a white cloth covering just the right spot? I was the towel boy. Hey, don't put him on the rack yet! I've got the towel here! Well, next at the gym, I went over to the free weights. That's got more to it, but it probably will get into a little bit beyond PG-13. I went to the free weights over to the weight room, and I've had to quit doing the big weights, like 4 hours at the DMV. And I also had to quit doing bench presses because they bolted them all down. I can tell sure you haven't pressed any benches. and went over to the dumbbells, and I've had a terrible time getting the 45-pound dumbbells home. It made me so unbalanced. My ex would say, "Lou, you've always been unbalanced." I thought about putting one in each hand. Then I'd be balanced. But wouldn't that look suspicious, leaving the gym with 2 gym bags? And I couldn't run. Well, I went to Maui on a kiteboarding trip. Now you wonder what that is. That's an island in the middle of the ocean. Oh, kiteboarding, that's where you're flying a huge kite while it's pulling you on a surfboard. And Wednesday it was windy, so I was going right past Lake Cheney, so I was there doing some kiteboarding. It was kind of cool. But I went kiteboarding trip to Maui. I saw an 85-year-old guy getting a kiteboard lesson. I took care of him, and now I'm the oldest surviving kiteboarder in the Western Hemisphere. But since there wasn't the usual wind we expected, I did a lot of SUP. That's S-U-P, stand-up paddleboarding. As opposed to what I do up here, suck. That's S-U-C, stand-up comedy. Oh, the first challenge for me was to get the board across the beach down into the water. 12-foot board. It actually went pretty well until I got stuck in the sand with my little rascal electric scooter. Then I decided to hold the board sideways, and that went pretty well until I took out a couple kids. Dunk, dunk. Took out a mother breastfeeding a baby, beep, pew, who was offending an old man until I took him out. Doing. Solved that social problem. Then I decided to hold the board under my arm and use the handle. They shouldn't call it a handle that's not big enough. They should call it a fingo. Well, when I finally got the board down into the water, crawled up on it, my challenge was to go from my knees to standing up. And it looked something like this. I should have had a walker. But I'm sure glad you came tonight. I did get away from a lifeguard. Hey, get out of here! This beach is closed to old men with big barge and little tiny Speedos. But I did catch a wave there on the Kailua Harbor. I rode that little wave 561 feet. To catch my first wave, it took me 4 years. And my nurse never caught me. But the last day I was there, it was windy for a change, so I was kiteboarding over the boneyard. Now that's a sketchy area where the coral reef is just below the surface of the water. And that, my friend, is stupid. Because I was riding without foot straps on my surfboard, got dragged over the coral reef, and fed the fish with donations of skin from my knee, foot, and another body part I don't talk about much, my left thigh. The fish said, "Thank you for the food." And so, on the way back on Hawaiian Airlines, I got very well acquainted with it, at my age, with the airline bathrooms. And when you hear that, that means it's time to go to the bathroom again. And, you know, I think the Boeing engineers measured people and said, let's make our bathrooms 3 inches smaller. And then they situated them so that the wall is curved. If you're a guy, you have to stand like this to be in position. And I can just hear the flight crew now. Los Angeles Centers, Hawaiian 35, we need to make an emergency landing. We got someone in the bathroom. They're stuck. It's our pilot. Hey, I'm the co-pilot. I know how to fly this airplane. Well, for me it looks something like this. Ladies, I just raised the seat. You didn't say anything or do anything. And I wouldn't have had to, because nobody would have known. I'm in here by myself. Besides, it's an imaginary bathroom. I'm going to do it again, and I want to hear something from you ladies.
Make sure you put it back down.
I thought in situations like this, you gals always hovered. I just hear, that's just what I hear. Well, then it comes time to do your thing. Takes time, you have to wait for good things. You ladies will have to change this visual a little bit. Or if you're gay, and then, have you ever noticed that the flush is so violent the toilet paper blows in the wind? Yeah, just like the kind of wind we like when we're kiteboarding. Oh yes, was the person before me. Yeah, you know the smell kind of thing. Well, my next trip was the opposite way to the East Coast, to the Outer Banks. And that is, how many have heard of the Outer Banks? Let's hear by, okay, cool. I can't see the rest of you, so by applause, how many heard of Hatteras Island? Kitty Hawk, Wright Brothers, airplanes. It's all located off the East Coast with some of the best kiteboarding conditions in the world. Well, when there wasn't enough wind for kiteboarding, my friend Tim and I would go SUP, stand-up paddleboarding. Well, I was barely able to balance on my board. He was on his doing yoga for the flexibility. Show off. Let's hear it by applause. How many years into yoga or has taken yoga? Anybody? Oh, and your names?
Kendall.
Kendall? Namaste. Now see, I need to interpret that for the rest of you folks. That's yoga speak for howdy, partner. Well, the hardest position for me was the doggy style. Oh, you yoga types call that the downward facing dog. For me it was arms torture. Well, that wasn't all I had to hold. I had a pesky methane bubble that desperately wanted to reach the atmosphere. Now most of you know, in case anybody's from South Bueller, That's a fart. With concerted effort, I was able to hold it. That's funny, you're quiet during the airplane stuff. Now we talk about farts and you start laughing. I like you guys. I was able to hold it, but we had a situation where Heather came after the class, she used some smelly stuff to massage my head. This one. And I just hope she didn't mess up my hair. Because, well, this hair's a joke. See there? And what should be growing on the top is growing out my ears. At least it keeps the bugs out. My ex says, well, it keeps the bugs in with all the craziness. Well, I wasn't the only one with a pesky methane bubble. Someone let one escape. That was one of those minimal displacement, extended duration, high amplitude expulsions. You call that a long, loud...
Fart.
Yes, one person got... Oh, unless, for the rest of you, I'll interpret that a toot. Well, I started to laugh until I realized I was the only one. And that's when I learned in yoga, you gotta know when to hold them. Well, after yoga, I went to the Dominican Republic and just about lost 3 fingers. You want to hear about that? Does that mean yes? I'll make a shorter version. Just about lost. I went down there because it's windy for kiteboarding, and then in the morning before it was windy, I would do sup. They say you worry about the right amount but the wrong things. I was worried about avoiding the navigating around the coral reef. Should have been worried about how to get to an emergency room, but I went over to an isolated beach, stepped off the board in about knee-deep water, and I saw a little wave coming in. I knew it didn't like me because it was going to flip my board up onto the beach. I says, I can win this bout with Mother Nature. So I grabbed the loop of the rope at the back of the board, held on tight. Well, the wave flipped the board over, wrapping the rope around my fingers, and then slammed it. I won. I still had the board, but not on my hand. I knew I was in trouble when I looked down and saw my index finger dangling by some skin. And good thing we're not eating tonight. But I did notice I didn't break one fingernail. So I grabbed the board with my good hand and headed across the narrow beach and narrow road. Nobody was around, trying to get some help. I saw a security guard at a White House across the road, didn't move a muscle, so I decided to use my extensive Spanish vocabulary. Emergencia! Well, he took my board, put it where it'd be safe so I could go back to the road and hitchhike into town. Hey! Well, would you stop and pick a guy with wearing only a black hat, little wet red blood, little black Speedos? Well, the second car did stop. It was John Paul from Germany who knew the way to the emergency room. So I couldn't see going to the emergency room in my current state of abbreviated attire. So we stopped by my hotel room and I grabbed the nearest t-shirt and put it on. It was grubby. Mother would not have been proud. What did your mother always tell you? Always wear clean underwear in case you have to go to the hospital. Well, and I put on my cargo shorts over my wet swim trunks, and that was stupid. And also embarrassing when John Paul, since I only had one hand, had to zip me up. I didn't realize that it was going to take 3 hours once I got to the hospital for them to get around to fixing my hand. And if I had known that, I would have taken time to put on a clean t-shirt, clean, dry underwear. Mom would have been proud until she would have learned that John Paul would have to tuck me in. But when I got to the hospital, a few things are different. They took good care of me. But the nurse gave me a hospital gown and stood there. Well, here, you know, they say, well, put this on, we'll leave the room for a while. She stood there watching. I didn't speak any Spanish, she didn't speak English, so I motioned to the door. She just stood there. I think she wanted to check and make sure I took off everything. I think she also wanted to take inventory and make sure I had everything. I got even with her though when she sent me back up to my room. I took the grand staircase with my IV pole. I called it my lifesaver with the wheels and bags and everything from it instead of taking the elevator. Well, when I went back to my hotel the next day, my hands were all bandaged except my thumb and my finger. Well, I could still use my hand. I could use it for a hat rack. I could change TV channels. I could do the wave. And I'm not even Queen Elizabeth. And however, I couldn't use it for my favorite evening activity I like to do with my right hand when I'm on the internet in the evenings. Come on, that's holding my pencil and taking notes. And I'm not fully rehabilitated, but when I get fully rehabilitated, I hope I can make a tight fist, but still keep my middle finger erect so I have the proper equipment for driving in New York City. I collect boxes. Anybody else here? You say boxes? You don't read your instructions, do you? Your instructions say, save this box. So I've got boxes for TV, office chair, mother-in-law. That part's not true. She's dead. You know, we're all dying. I'm dying. Hopefully before you do. Have you ever noticed how we try to sugarcoat death? We say, hey, it's gone to be with the Lord. My family's pretty sure I'm not in that category. Pushing daisies, greener pastures, 72 virgins. Well, I'm going to be, instead of pushing daisies, I'm going to be pushing weed. Make that plural. Some of you people probably want to keep it singular. But not only do we want to sugarcoat death, we want to sugarcoat on the way to death. Anybody here remember when you'd send Grandma to the old folks' home? Well, they changed it because that might get offensive. They changed it to the senior center. And then they send Grandma to the senior center. Well, that got a stigma that says, well, let's change it. So now they have the Dare County Older Adult Center. Now, when you have grandkids, when you have grandkids, they're going to send you to the Older Toddler Center. You'll toddle in, and you'll toddle back out. Now, I don't know how I'm going to leave this world, but my body's going to go to the body farm at the University of Tennessee for research after they get rid of everything else that's worth anything. I'm sure it won't be up here. But when I go, I want my obituary to read something like, Arizona Lou died in an avalanche of boxes. Well, I saw a guy in the produce department, went to Dillon's and saw a guy in the produce department. I don't know if his name was Oscar or not, but he sure was a grouch. I think you've been watching Sesame Street, good for you guys. I chose some bananas. Oh, by the way, at my age, it's always a banana in the pocket. I chose some bananas and had them out here. And that was a slow one, that's cool. I said, I hope you find some good ones, but you can't have these, they're not mine. don't want them. Do you like comedy? No. Do you like to laugh? No. Well, I figured his name really was Oscar because at the checkouts I was ahead of him, and when I left, he said, "Good riddance." Don't judge him though. Maybe he was a Jehovah's Witness. Maybe he forgot to pull out. Maybe he lost his wife and forgot where. But, you know, Baltimore, they have the Reicher. Did you know Baltimore is actually starting a campaign, a publicity campaign to get more tourism? Well, I can think of some good slogans for Baltimore. Baltimore, the birthplace of Freddie Gray. Baltimore, we invented rioting 150 years ago. Baltimore, we were the first ones to turn over covered wagons. Baltimore, our trains stay on the tracks. Baltimore, our marathons don't bomb. Yeah, maybe it's too soon for that. But Baltimore's always kind of an interesting thing. Now I have another thing I could do, but it's up to you guys. I think it's fun. It sort of pushes about PG 13.5. It's a thing on Viagra. And if you would rather not hear it, that's okay. If you'd like to hear my Viagra routine, let's hear it by applause if you'd like to hear Viagra. Okay, come on in. Oh, okay. Well, I am so old, I know how to drive a stick shift. By applause, who else can? Okay, I'm not talking about a boner. But while we're on the subject, I volunteered for a clinical study of Viagra at the University of Longwood. It was, I expected it to be a lot harder. It was one of those double-blind studies. Even the doctors didn't know who was coming. They put us in hospital gowns and we looked like Sheriff Joe's tent city. It was embarrassing. I was the only one without a rigid tent pole. Imagine propping your tent up with one of those things you get from Dollar Tree, a fun noodle. It wasn't fun. It was embarrassing and not uplifting. Well, we were bored stiff. Well, I'm 76, I was just bored. We played games, we played Monopoly until one of the guys knocked all the pieces off the board. Our version of Happy Sack, well, we got real testy for that. Our version of Tag was Pokemon Go. I hated it. I didn't have a good poker. The other guys hated my favorite. We got to give her a chance to cool off. I like you. They hated my favorite, Twister. And we appreciated it when the researchers gave us a shake break. They also gave us homework. It wasn't very hard for me. And that's when I learned you don't need special expensive stuff if you go to Dollar Tree and get their hair styling gel. I also learned that well, it's a good thing I was raised a Baptist. Because if I'd been a Catholic, after each session, I'd need confession. Of course, it might have to go the other way, too. and I would receive a dishonorable discharge. Well, things didn't really go quite as well as I had hoped. They accused me of just hanging around. They said that I was real testy, that one of them accused me of being a swinger. Hey, you've got to keep them ventilated, you know. You guys know that. Well, I had to leave the study without giving them any bona fide data. I couldn't even go 4 hours without falling asleep. And after the study, well, back to the t-shirts. You get a t-shirt and you'll have something good for cleaning up after your homework. Hey, I have really enjoyed being here. I've got to tell you a couple more things. I had voice surgery, and it's embarrassing when my voice goes up high. That's why I've had the PA system turned up so loud. I have a weak voice. But it's embarrassing when my voice goes up high, especially on the telephone. I'll say, "Hello? May I please speak to the man of the house?" "I am the man." Or worse yet, "Hello? Are your parents home?" "Yes, I put them up on the mantle. They told me in life to earn everything." Hey, you people are fantastic. I enjoy being here. I'm Arizona Lou.
Arizona Lou, everybody.